This is Pete Jones, and you are listening to the Dragons Are Real podcast. Episode 5, Dungeons & Dragons Basic by Moldvay. This episode, I'm going to discuss the differences between this edition and the previous edition by Professor Holmes. The Basic Edition was released in 1981 and was edited by Tom Moldvay. It's also known as the Magenta Box or BX. It was a marked improvement over the previous editions, with a lot of effort going into style and content. The rules cover levels 1 to 3. Levels 4 to 14 were to follow in the expert book, and then levels 15 to 35 were to be released in the companion book, but this was never released for the BX version. However, a BX companion was released by Jonathan Becker, and this is an imagined version of what the companion would have looked like had it been released back in the 1980s. Again, the rules state that the rulebook are guidelines and users were encouraged to change as they see fit. The rulebook also had holes punched in it, so you could reorganise the ring binder to your heart's content. Unlike previous versions, the rulebook was organised into sections, and these were Introduction, Player Characters, Spells, the Adventure, Encounters, Monsters, Treasure and Dungeon Master. They also reduced the number of spells on the previous version to fit in with levels 1 to 3, and further levels were to be included in the expert book. Throughout the book there are references to the expert book and the companion. The term Fighting Men was replaced for the first time with Fighters. 32 new monsters were listed, a couple from Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and other new ones appear, like Bear and NPC Party. 4 monsters were dropped in the previous edition. The rules for character creation were overhauled substantially. They were very detailed and took you through a step-by-step process on creating a character. They kept race as class, and alignment returned back to good, neutral and chaotic. All ability scores now had some effect on the game, from -3 to +3. Strength affected hit, damage and opening doors. Intelligence was the number of languages. Wisdom affected your magic-based saving throws. Dexterity affected missile fire, armor class and the optional initiative rules. Con affected your hit points, and Charisma affected your reactions, hirelings and their morale. Hit points now changed the variable dice system we are all familiar with, from D4 on magic users and thieves, up to D8 for fighters. There were some changes to combat. Dexterity for initiative was dropped, with each side now rolling a D6 and adding the dex modifiers to the die roll. Variable damage became the standard. Moldvay also added a natural 20 was always a hit, and a natural 1 was always a miss. And the rules for the first time included a great example of how combat worked. There were optional morale rules, which added morale for monsters and NPCs. Basically, this was a number between 2 and 12. The GM would roll 2d6, and if the number was greater than the morale score, the monster or NPC either retreated or made the fighting withdrawal. Morale checks were made in 2 situations: when they received their first kill on their side, or when half the number had been killed. The number of spells had been reduced to fit in with level 1 to 3 of the characters. In total, 8 spells were removed and 2 were altered. Strangely, Detect Invisible, although listed as a spell, was never described in the book. Also included was an example dungeon called the Haunted Keep, and this was a step-by-step guide on how to design the dungeon that is presented. In conclusion, the book is much better organised. It's very methodical and is superb for reference. The original Dungeons & Dragons basic book is available as a PDF on Drive-Thru RPG for a price of £3.88. There are numerous clones of the basic set. The closest in accuracy is BX Essentials by Gavin Norman. This is free for the non-art version, or the 5 books available at £3.88 each. Also available is Labyrinth Lord, which made slight changes to the original rules with changes to XP numbers and thief abilities, and clerics got spells at first level. It is free for the no-art version, or a PDF is available for £5.20. Sorcerer Court is another alternative, but they split race from class, had 1 saving throw, and used both ascending and descending armor class, and that is available for free as a PDF. Basic Fantasy role-playing game separates the race from the class, has no alignment and uses ascending armor class, and that is a free PDF or printed at cost on Amazon for the princely sum of £4.22. All details how to get these are available in the show notes. You've been listening to the Dragons Are Real podcast. You can contact me by leaving a message via the Anchor app or visit the podcast website petejones.neocity.org or on OSR Anchorites at the Audio Dungeon Discord. Thanks for listening. The opening music is Siesta by Jazar. The closing music is Controlled Distress by BizBaz Studio.